nunca. Entonces la gente está todavía desanimada, está todavía, no van a hacer nada, ¿para qué nos están trayendo esto? O sea, yo he estado caminando downtown, me paso tardes enteras llevándoles papeles, tratando de hacerles conciencia de que tenemos que cambiar ese downtown, y la verdad es que sí tengo, pues yo en lo personal me he metido en la cabeza, ¿verdad? Me he hecho la conciencia de que de veras ese downtown puede cambiar. Yo viajo mucho y veo otras ciudades y la verdad es que digo, esta es una ciudad de 3 calles o de 4 calles, pero caray, nomás son 4 calles y está en tan malas condiciones que yo creo que sí deberíamos de ponerle un poquito de más empeño y hay gente, como les digo, que no creen esto del BIM, pero tenemos que ser claros y transparentes con estas gentes, ¿verdad? Y pues decirles que sí, que esto va a ser claro, transparente y que les vamos a dar cuentas y que sí se van a hacer las cosas.
Jennifer, you mentioned that the advisory committee has to be formed of merchants who are current with their goods.
Actually, it says that the council may limit the membership of the advisory board to those persons paying their taxes.
It could emphasize that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that there's an option
Yes.
to pay for it? To be part of the...
Advisory board?
No, to be part of it.
No. Essentially, when a BID is created, there's set up, the boundaries are set out, the zones are set out, the prices are set out, all notices are mailed out to the business owners that are affected, and a public hearing is held. So that hearing was held in January 2000, and if 50% or more of the owners protested, then the council can't impose it. Apparently 50% did not come out, or 51%, I guess, did not come out and oppose it, and that's why it got adopted.
Yo no me recuerdo que se haya llevado, yo no me recuerdo que se haya llevado a una mesa de discusión y que no se llevara a efecto lo del PIB. Nomás de la noche a la mañana dijeron, no está funcionando y no siguió.
Sí lo adoptaron, sí lo adoptaron.
No, sí se lo ordenaron.
Okay. Well, I guess my next... Okay, now my next question is, as a bid, it's still active. It's just dormant.
Exactly.
Okay, so that there's no cost incurred for establishing a nonprofit organization. Is that correct? Well, that's what I want her to clarify.
I don't know that part of it. I think that's a legal part. That's something.
What's that?
No, yo pregunté cuando empezamos a hablar del PIB otra vez, pregunté que si teníamos que registrarnos como organización non-profit y
There is no
I
nonprofit.
assume you'd probably levy an assessment and use some of that money to create the nonprofit. I think the nonprofit creation would not cost a lot of money to do. It would be just getting the documents together.
Okay, Rosalind, you mentioned something as a nonprofit, you'll be able to, that the bid will be able to come in with money. Now, if there is no nonprofit, how can this go forward and asking for additional money? If there's no nonprofit.
Well, if the city is collecting it and you have this advisory board telling you how to spend the money, then the council would be spending the money and
No, I
directing
understand
where the money
that,
goes.
but she mentioned something about like grants or other programs.
That's exactly, I think that's the...
But if there's no nonprofit, would it be obtained through the city, or is it?
It has to have a nonprofit organization.
It has to be nonprofit.
We will spend money.
So where's the
We
nonprofit?
will spend money to incorporate.
There you go. I just said it right now. It's going to be the legal expense.
And then go after the grant.
Okay, now, instead of trying to form a nonprofit, and this may ring well with some, but there's already a nonprofit organization, which is the chamber.
Yep.
Why can't somehow do a spin-off? I'm going to give you an example. Imperial Valley Joint Chambers of Commerce, years ago, had a committee for economic development. That spin-off, if I'm not mistaken, if I recall correctly, eventually turned into VDOT, and now the Imperial Valley Economic Development Corporation. But it started with the Joint Chambers of Commerce. So why can't it you might say, I don't know, like the chamber being the incubator until the bid's ready to take off on something.
Well, let's ask, is the current president of the chamber here?
There's a former president.
Former president?
What's the question?
The question's going to be, you know, there are over 2,200 businesses in the city of Calexico. And the chamber only has about 308. That's not even.
But you already have.
And I know why, because there's a lot of transient businesses that really want to be part of it. Are they counting the swap meet as well? Isn't that 2,000? No.
Let me take the question. So the question was, my point was that there's over 2,200 businesses in the city, business license. And there's only 308 chamber members, and very few from downtown, only about 29. So why hasn't there not been a campaign to recruit more downtown businesses as chamber members? They not see a value in it? Is the chamber not really focused on downtown, or would you know?
I'm sorry, but it's not like
there was members from the downtown, but eventually we lost a lot of them for whatever reason. But it was probably downtown, it's not the whole city that we lost members for whatever reason. There is, I know that Julie's working with Christina in the downtown and other areas to promote as to the details. I'm afraid I didn't kind of just a little bit lately for obvious reasons, but the efforts being made.
Because I know I pulled an average of the past 6 years, and it's 12%. Business license to chamber member ratio is 12% average over the past 6 years.
I mean, my deal with including the chamber, with all due respect to Christina and the chamber and Mr. Rivera, it's not so the chamber can get involved in the process. It's just to be like the incubator, where. What's that? Yes. Well, the lead agency because of the nonprofit status, and that the chamber itself will not be involved in what bid is trying to accomplish.
Well, I think what Christina probably is trying to say is that the chamber's emphasis is for marketing all of the city of Calexico, and their events are sometimes very different from what the downtown version.
I do understand that. I do understand that. But the thing is that any money that would be obtained for the purpose of the bid will go straight only exclusively used for the bid. Instead of trying to, for example, let's say that this thing gets started and the fees are modified so it can be a little bit more affordable to the other merchants, then you're going to be spending most of your money on trying to get it reactivated.
I guess the reason I would suggest that a nonprofit is because in looking at other areas, the downtowns usually, because if you have a nonprofit, have their own manager, whether it's part-time or a full-time manager. It all depends on their budget. But their manager is specifically working with those businesses within the district, but they're also coordinating with the chamber at the same time.
No, I hear you. But the thing is, it gives it an opportunity. No different like these incubators. I think there's one in El Centro where a startup business, they need support or infrastructure. They go in there. Once you get their business going, they can afford all the other expenses as far as the infrastructure, then they can pull out and they're on their own. And I would really think that for the benefit of it, if there's no benefit to the chamber, but for the benefit of it, this might be a
I agree with you, Mr. Romero. Chamber of Commerce could be the leading agency, but I think the problem is if there is no interest from the merchant, from the business people, it's not going to work out. Wait a minute, let me finish. This was done in 2000, okay? And now we're talking about re-energizing it and bringing this back again, okay? Merchant in downtown has been changed. It's not the same days when Mr. Moreno was there, his brother, Super Shopping.